think by the day 2 or 3 it's
Yeah.
gonna feel like normal,
Yeah. Kids seem happy to be in school.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
They wrote all over like the chalk outside the school. It was really sweet.
Nice.
We miss you.
Nice.
Good? All right. Good evening, everyone. Today is Wednesday, September 2nd, and I call the regular meeting of the Brookfield Board of Education to order. In accordance with Executive Order 7B, suspending sections 1-206, 1-225, and 1-226 of the Connecticut General Statutes, the public will not be able to attend this meeting in person, but will have the ability to view or listen to the meeting in real time by way of Brookfield Board of Education YouTube channel URL. Furthermore, such meeting will be recorded or transcribed and posted on the board's website within 7 days of the meeting and made available as required by law. All speakers taking part in the meeting are reminded that they are to clearly state their names and titles, if applicable, before speaking on each occasion that they speak. Individuals wishing to participate in the public comment portion of this meeting may do so by calling the following numbers. Area code 929-205-6099 and area code 301-715-8592. And the meeting ID is 950-8423-8281. So let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have all of our board members in attendance tonight, and we have all of our administrators joining from remote locations. So we'll start with public comment. Is there anybody that is calling in? I'll just give a couple of minutes just in case. No?
Who is DC?
Dan.
Oh,
Dan
Dan
Caldwell,
Caldwell.
okay.
All right, I don't see anyone calling in, so we will move on to written correspondence.
Okay, Laura Orban, Ray DeStefan, and Stavros Mertzopoulos wrote regarding school reopening. Anna Prendy wrote regarding special ed students, and Tatiana Preston wrote regarding Spanish classes.
Next up is approval of board minutes.
I will move that the board approve the minutes from the regular meeting on August 19th and the special meeting on August 24th.
Second.
Thanks, Joy. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, up next is the superintendent's update.
Thank you, Rosa. I'm very, well, actually, we're supposed to announce who we are. So John Burrell, superintendent, every time we speak, because when it's a hybrid meeting like this, we need to do that. So that's a good reminder for all of us. We say our name and our title every time we speak. And also, I just ask everybody to really enunciate, the microphone's up in the middle of us, through our masks and speak loudly. So really excited to get the school year going. Extremely proud of our administrative team, our faculty, our staff. The work that's gone in this summer has been amazing. Having the faculty and staff back since last week, working through all of our professional learning and setup and preparation days has been amazing. We have, considering all the concerns that faculty and staff had, we've heard this in many school districts. Are we going to have staffing? Are people coming back? The leaves, all kinds of things. The Mrs. Kavanaugh and Dr. Ruby, the HR department, the school teams themselves who did the interviewing, getting all of our staff comfortable and back, understanding the new laws, etc. We are in a great position with our faculty and staff. However, we do still have some monitor positions we're looking to fill for lunch monitors and things like that. We have staffed our isolation rooms with monitors. So just really proud of HR and the rest of the team for all that work in terms of staffing. The other thing I wanted to share regarding reopening is there's several areas on my superintendent report. The materials we've got, including PPE, such as masks and face shields, gowns, gloves, hand sanitizers, all those things are on site. We expect the delivery of the desk shields for staff and for kids later this week, and that'll be delivered to each school and set up. So, you know, we're really looking forward to getting that in place. The signage, we've been working on printing out wall signage for respiratory etiquette, hand washing, mask wearing, you know, all those kinds of things. Excuse me, this is sliding down on my face. So that's in place. Floor signage has been delivered. So like floor stickers, 6 feet apart. You've seen these in department stores and things like that. So staff will, admin will have that at the schools and ready to go. We signed up the awarded contract for Green Life, which is the custodial services. They started today with training over at the high school. Mr. Caldwell and Mr. Post are working on the schedule for those folks. They will be with us the remainder of the week, learning the school, learning our systems, and being ready to be there for all the different cleaning we need to do with the start of school on Tuesday. So we're really excited to have those folks to help us out. And also, I really have to give a big thank you to our custodial union who agreed, because it's explicit in their contract, that we are not to be hiring outside services to supplement their work, but they understand the requirements and the need and the special circumstances we are under, and they really quickly agreed to move forward on that. There was really no hesitation. They did a great job, and we're really thankful to them. Professional development's been ongoing, as I said, all week. Everything from technology to health and wellness to facilities, special education, rulers tomorrow, and of course special subject area training. So much great work is going on. I have to really thank, again, the administration and central office for all of their planning and work, Dr. Ruby's department, the principals, and the department heads and everybody else. They've been amazing. I also want to let the board know Eric and I will be setting up the Zoom link for convocation on Friday morning. It'll be a little bit different than we've had before, but you could join by Zoom, and that's how we'll handle convocation. And looking forward to Wesley Marchena, our Teacher of the Year, will be giving an address along with myself, and Rosa will speak, and also the principals will introduce the new faculty and staff. Let's see what else. Communications. While it's critically important to communicate for anybody who is feeling at parents and staff members who are feeling overwhelmed by email, we certainly put out an apology for that, but we have to communicate. So it's important. Just recently, in the last week, from the district alone, we sent out a quarantine out-of-state travel letter advisory. The nurses letter just went out today, covering many topics. Monday, we announced Power School and teacher assignments, schedule assignments, etc. We will have an attendance letter going out tomorrow, just reminding people about how attendance works, remote versus in-person, and the different days and how that works. So it's very clear, not only for parents and students, but also faculty, because they're the ones taking attendance. We want to be very clear on that. We have some minor adjustments on the calendar, the school calendar. Not any adjustments in terms of days where the board has to be involved, but just the layout of the calendar to make it very clear when there's open houses and things like that. Then on Friday, Dr. Ferrara, Dr. Sullivan, and I penned a COVID monitoring and contact tracing letter to share how that's going to be done and the different addendums from the State Department of Education that we will follow, and so that'll be going out on Friday. We also have updated the website with a COVID page that has lots of resources for people, but also has all of the communications on there, so it's kind of one-stop shopping for everybody, so anybody could go and check those things out. And then finally, the last two things I wanted to say is the other reopening kind of big tasks that are out there that people are thinking about, technology and athletics. We have two separate presentations from Mr. Baldwin and from Mr. Conklin tonight, so they'll work those two subjects through their presentations. So again, I'm excited, I'm thrilled, I'm appreciative of the support, proud of the team, and I don't know if anybody has any questions. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, so those are the biggies. And then enrollment, and then kindergarten enrollment. Thank you, Joy. Mm-hmm. So for everybody to know right now, and again, this is very important. We talk about this every fall at this time of year. October 1 is our formal submission to the State Department of Education on our enrollment. So there's a lot that's fluid now. Things will change on the first day of school. There will be students who do not show. There will be students brand new that were not even on our radar that move in and come to register. But for right now, both cohorts combined for in-person election to come in person, 2,200 students. This is as of 2 p.m. today. And right when I was on the computer with Eric and we were working on this, a new register popped up. So, I mean, it literally happens minute by minute. And that is 82% of our total population. Total remote right now, 381 students, or 18%. And this is where it's important for people to understand, September, that first month of school, is so important because right now, our staff, after we did the survey of parents electing to either do in-person or remote, we had almost 400 families not respond to the survey. Our staff at each school dug in and just called and called and called on those people who we couldn't get in touch with. We still have 95 families we are trying to get in touch with that are very difficult to get in touch with. Now, they may be planning to have moved and just haven't notified us. There's all kinds of reasons. So a lot of that will manifest over the next couple of weeks and we'll find out. So right now our total enrollment, 2,676. We had projected this past spring, 2,624.
Wow.
It's a delta of about 50 more kids. However, there are some significant reductions in kindergarten, and they're not all formalized in Power School yet. And I want to turn it over now to Mrs. Diamond to talk a little bit about kindergarten enrollment, because that's one we always monitor very carefully throughout the summer. So, Mrs. Diamond, if you are there, would you be able to share a little bit about kindergarten enrollment?
Absolutely. So right now we are at 133 total absolutely confirmed coming to center school in next week, next Tuesday. We have 106 hybrid, 27 remote, and we have 37 students who have indicated they are withdrawing or who have moved. So we did have a number of students who, like as I said, have moved out of the district as well. We have about 5 families that still have not confirmed one way or the other if they will be coming to center, so we're still trying to track them down as well. And we had a student register yesterday for November, so they're buying a house. The closing is in November, so they will be joining us a little bit later on in the school year. So we anticipate that that's going to happen as well. As you all know, I think that the housing market is booming, and so we are aware that there are some families that are just in the process. They were not able to close on time for the school year to start, but we are anticipating that that's going to be happening as well. So we do have, when we've been calling parents and when they've been sharing with us their plans, we've been trying to find out kind of what the rationale is, because we're also I'm already thinking about next year and what this is going to mean for next year. So we're seeing that there are a number of families that need full day daycare for their children, and so they are going to private private kindergartens, and then a good number of them are also, again, keeping their children in pre-K for the extra year, since it is not required that they send them to kindergarten. So we will have to see what happens. We've been having conversations with parents, and I do anticipate, as I said, that we already know that there are 2 or 3 that will be in mid-year who will are coming and closing on their homes and will be moving in.
So that's the superintendent report, and please, the floor is for the board. If there's any questions for Mrs. Diamond or me, or
I said a question about the calendar. The PDs that are scheduled throughout the year, are those still on schedule for the days that they had off, the kids have off?
yes. So we kept the 2 full PD days that we kept in the year, because remember we back 3 into the beginning of the year now, are the Columbus Day, October 12th, and the Election Day, November 3rd. And then the PLC days are still there that we had.
And when did you say the calendar is going out?
I believe we will have that. I wanted to announce to you just the minor changes, and that will go out tomorrow as a school message. And Lisa might even actually, after this, we talked about at least getting it posted tonight, and then we could email out the link to everybody.
Great.
And I know again, I don't want to continue to apologize because we all need to be flexible and patient in this time, but these are things we need to adjust and be accurate. So when we have new information, we make the adjustment and we communicate it to everybody. So that's what we've done with the calendar. So it's nice and clean and crisp and ready to go.
And then you said all of those messages are on one page in the website too.
Correct. So this is another piece, Jen, thanks for asking that question. So the district messages that have gone up over the last month are up, or since the reopening plan in July, are up there. There's a lot of family resources, there's CDC, Department of Public Health, those kinds of things. We also talked about at a principal meeting today, we worked with the technology department and each principal, their messages, they post on they're going to be posting on their website, just like I'm posting them on the district website, and then Eric's going to link them, so it's very easy to land on the district page and then just click on the school and you can get those. The other thing we're going to do, and I have to thank Mrs. Diamond for this one, is just like we did in the spring, beginning next week, we're going to, district messages will start being actually numbered, so it's a little easier to follow them along.
Great.
Yep.
Good, yeah.
Deb, I might forget it later for 3 important things, but I feel like sharing the website links to the different
Yep.
things might be a good thing
Good idea.
because, like I tend to sometimes lose an email or two, but if I know that I could find them on the website, that might help.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions? All right. Subcommittee reports, we have none, so we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Okay, I move that the board approve the items on the consent agenda. We have new hires, resignations, and retirements.
Second, Joy.
Thanks, Joy.
Oh, sorry.
I forgot to say my name.
And if I can, Rosa, just to share, the big one is the retirement of Mrs. Crean from the middle school, our media specialist. We all love Mrs. Crean and just thank her for all of her service, 21 years of service in Brookfield. And I actually just was able to connect with her this week, the other night, I think it was Monday night. And we just went back and forth, and it was just a pleasure talking to her. And it was a very difficult decision for her, but she needs to spend time with her family, and we're just excited for the next phase of her life and so appreciative of her service. So I wanted to acknowledge her, and I think, Joy, you wanted to say something too.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to Ms. Green. The library is such an important place for so many children. When I told Vanessa that she was retiring, she was devastated. She goes, well, can you at least tell her something? I said something. She said, she made me love reading and helped me to become the reader I am today.
Aw.
So it really was a tough loss for her.
Yeah.
And I thank her for everything that she's done.
John, can I say something?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Dean, please.
I have to say, I thank you so much, Joy, for reading that. Because I have to say, since Sue has come on to be our library media specialist, our library has boomed. The amount of books that are coming out, that are being taken out, and just her ability to work with our staff members and help them with finding resources for their any of their content areas, for their lessons and with their curriculum. It was an unbelievable asset. She's an unbelievable asset to Wisconsin, so we wish her the best of luck.
Thanks, Dean.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Mrs. Crean.
Definitely. Any other discussion on this? Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
All right, on to new business. Up first is the approval of the nurses contract.
Okay. Amy, I will move that the board approve the successor contract between the Brookfield Board of Education and the Brookfield Nurses Union.
Second, Joy.
Thanks, Joy. Okay, you guys, I sent a copy of the edited, the new version of the nurses contract. Same with the secretaries that you'll see in the next item. Just as a summary, this is, we're really appreciative to have just done a very quick and efficient one-year deal. The insurance premiums are gonna stay the same. It was really just negotiated with a 2.25 general wage increase and some very minor changes. So really nothing substantive, so it's good that we can, get into the school year and in a nice, collaborative way. So that's it. Is there any other discussion on this item? Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, up next is the secretarial contract.
Amy, I will move that the board approve the successor contract between the Brookfield Board of Education and the Brookfield Secretaries Union.
I'll second, Joy.
Thanks, Joy. All right, same as the other one. Any discussion on this one? Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. Up next is the approval of ABA paraeducator positions.
Okay, Amy again will move that the board approve the 3 ABA paraeducator positions to replace the contracted services with IPPI as requested by Superintendent Dr. John Burill and is outlined in the attached memo dated September 2nd, 2020.
Second, Joy.
Thanks, Joy. Did you want to,
Sure.
yeah. update on that?
Sure. So, Dr. Burrell here, Superintendent. So I've met with both the Finance Committee and the Personnel Negotiations Committee to discuss the 3 new positions for ABA paraeducators to support our most vulnerable students. This has been a goal of the district for a few years now, has been to develop the capacity and ultimately hire our own ABA paras to do the work, and behavior specialists to do the work that years ago, when we didn't have the capacity, we started using IPPI, or Institute of Professional Practices Incorporated, to support us in those services. And so Dr. Sapala, our former special education director, and then when Mrs. Wygonik was one of our special education supervisors, they embarked on this goal to have our own ABA and BCBA professionals. And so we're at a point now where this really is the last move in that regard. And also the business model of IPPI has changed, where it's a little less flexible than it used to be. And so the request is to, in place of the existing IPPI services, which consists of currently 3 ABA paraeducators and 1 certified BCBA, we request to hire 3 ABA paraeducators as actual Brookfield Public School employees and a half or 0.5 FTE BCBA services through EdAdvance. And so we're really excited about that. It's a very detailed memo that's public information if people would like to go through it. And I've gone through it with a number of board members on the committees. So if there's questions, I certainly can go through it. But at the end of the day, what I said at the outset is we are moving with our own capacity. And in doing so, we are providing a higher quality of service, we believe, to our students, more consistent, because that was a problem with IPPI. They were not consistent like they had used to have been. Again, the way their business model has shifted a little bit. And so we'll be higher quality, more consistent. Staff and parents are pleased. Mrs. Wygonik has worked with the families that are involved, and so they're very pleased. They understand this is not coming without any prior communication. It is a significant budget savings. It really makes sense. In terms of budget savings, just so everybody knows very concretely, and it's outlined in the memo that, again, is up on the website, we are trading in the services from IPPI of 1 certified BCBA and 3 ABA paraeducators to hire our own 3 ABA paraeducators and continue to contract out, but not with IPPI, with a different organization, EdAdvance, a half or 0.5 BCBA. Net, the least amount of money we'll save is $70,000. So it's a big budget savings. Depending on the people we hire, whether they take health benefits or not, we may save even more money. So to me, it just makes perfect sense. Both committees that I spoke with appear to agree on this, and so I brought it forward to the full board for a decision this evening.
Does anybody have any questions or?
Can I just ask a question? And I probably missed the subcommittee meeting where you discussed it, so I apologize, just as Jen. So how, what school did this group work at, or was it all throughout the district?
I figured you might ask that, Mrs. Layden.
Yeah.
So I'm actually, the specific details of, because we have to be careful because it gets confusing when you start moving FTEs and kids matriculate to different schools and the way the services are, but I'm not sure if Mrs. Wygonik is on, but she definitely could explain that for us.
All right. Well, maybe I'll just have a 2-part question too.
Okay, yeah.
And then the other question would be sort of like to help us understand if we had a full BCBA and now we only have half, like, are we still providing the same amount of services to kids? Maybe we could just explain that a little.
Yes, so that's great. So is Gina on?
Yeah, she just unmuted.
Okay. Gina, if you're
Yeah.
ready, can you answer those questions for us?
Yeah, I can. With the amount of students that needed support at Wisconsin has decreased, and the amount at the high school has stayed the same. So what we did was we shipped the full-time BCBA to the high school, which allowed us to hire a part-time BCBA at Wisconsin. So that's where the difference comes in. All services will be provided by the amount of BCBA coverage that we have. I think that was your question. It's a little hard to hear you.
Did that answer your question, Jen?
Yes, oh, and yeah, I think that's it. And then, so we already have one BCBA that's a district employee?
Correct.
Okay.
And that person staying, we have that position still. We're not letting that position go.
And that person's responsibilities is like the whole district? Or it
No.
depends?
Go ahead, Gina.
No, we have a one full-time BCBA at the high school. We have one part-time BCBA at Wisconsin, and we have a full-time BCBA that is shared between Huckleberry and Center School.
So really, we'll have 2.5.
Did you hear that, Gina?
2.5
No.
in total then?
We have 2.5 in total, Gina?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
I got a big.
that's good.
Is that your
to
questions?
know.
Got your questions answered?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's a big change, like from a number of years ago, we only had one
Right,
K to 12.
Yep.
right.
So that's maybe good for the community to hear that we've gone
Mhm.
from 1 to 2.5
Yes.
over a number of years.
So the motion's on the floor. If
Yep.
there's no other questions.
Any other questions? Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for all the support, everyone. Thank you, Mrs. Wygonick.
Okay, up next is the summer technology update.
Oh,
We have a
actually,
budget transfer
Oh,
item.
sorry, whoops, I skipped right over that. Okay, the budget transfer.
Okay, Amy, I will move that the board approve a budget transfer to fund the 3 ABA paraeducator positions.
Second, Joy.
Thanks, Joy. Okay, so, hopefully you guys all saw in your budget packet, the budget transfer outlining, the transfers from, the special education professional services, in the amount of $277,500 and into, 4 other accounts, and I can go through this if you'd like, but I think you guys all saw it. Did Ken wanna say anything here? Is he even on?
yeah, Ken's on.
You don't wanna say anything?
I don't know if there's any questions for Ken, or
Yeah,
Ken,
if
do you
there's any
want to
questions?
share a little bit about your memo, Ken? Just to explain the budget transfer and our rationale for, and certainly Mr. Belden, as the chair of the Finance Committee, could weigh in on this, as kind of our transparent outlay every month when we might have these issues.
Sure, we're trying to be very visible about how we're using our budget, and this is a perfect opportunity for that. It shows that we are, as Rosa said, transferring money out of the professional services and special education budget and funding salaries, health benefits, and the .5 BCBA from Ed Advance, and then moving $70,600 into our contingency account. And that's the savings.
And this is Bob, and I'll just add for clarity, that 70,000 we're generally using for all the school opening costs. That's generally what we've been using those for. And Ken, just so I'm clear, this is the same item that we had on our report to the Board of Finance last month?
Correct.
Okay.
The dollars are a little larger, but yes.
I
same
think it
item.
was 55,000 at that time?
Correct.
Okay. Uh-oh. Oh, there he goes.
So do we have any questions for anyone? Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
now- Thanks, Ken. Now we have the summer technology update. So Eric, are you, I don't know if you're gonna be on,
Yeah, I think he's going to do
Yeah,
it
I'm gonna
from.
come on.
There he is.
I'm gonna come on over here, so I should be on the Zoom camera. But the microphone in the room should pick me up. I want to maintain my
See ya.
social distancing over here.
here.
So as you can imagine, the technology department has been extremely busy through the spring and right through the summer and now into the start of the school year. So I'm not only going to touch on some of the work that my specific department has been doing, but I will also touch on some of the work of our Power School manager, Denise Walsh, and a lot of the work she's been doing and recent information about that. Excuse me, so we did receive the laptops for the Wisconsin staff, which were quickly configured and prepared and handed out to staff as they returned. We then have taken the remaining laptops that Wisconsin staff returned to us to repurpose throughout the district. As I had mentioned in some of the meetings when we were requesting these, we did have to deal with damages to those devices that just happened from wear and tear, being that they're 5 to 6 years old. So we are working on getting those repaired, but we have had enough to supplement new staff that has started, as well as some support staff, which we are still working on getting our support staff up and running for this year with devices. But our kids come first, which leads me to my next part about device distribution. So first, in preparation for, in a lucky way, we were already preparing for some wireless internet upgrade and infrastructure upgrades anyway this year. So the fact that we had done that and was able to do that through our E-rate program, which is a government-funded program for internet access, we were able to install 100 brand new wireless access points throughout the district. Some replaced older units that just can't keep up anymore, and some were added to simply add more connections in certain rooms, in hot areas, in public areas, and in rooms that, like cafeterias, that would normally be for lunch and will now be used for other purposes this year. And so those have been put out throughout the district. They can handle more connections, higher speeds, and keep up with the higher demands that we're obviously going to see throughout the district. So those were finished the week before our staff arrived. Our tech team worked hard to run around the district and get them configured and installed. And so then we turned our focus to our Chromebooks. We did collect back, finally during the summer, we did collect back the Chromebooks we handed out during distance learning back in March, which was approximately 300 Chromebooks. Not all were returned, so we are dealing with that and finding out who needs devices, for the start of the school year.
But Eric, let me just stop you there.
Yep.
We know who didn't return a device, and so they won't just be given a new device.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, we have that on.
So it is important to know that whether it was a quick method back in the spring or our normal traditional method, not a single device leaves a tech department member's hands without being signed out in our asset inventory management system. So we do know who has them, what students they're checked out to, and so we know where these devices are and how to get them back. Or to ensure that if they already do have them, they didn't give them back to us, that we don't give them another one. We make sure that each student only has one device. So we are working through that. The one-to-one program at the high school did continue, and those handouts happened yesterday and today for students. We did not collect Chromebooks back from students in grades 9 through 12. So students entering grades 10, 11, and 12, we did not collect those back. Any student that didn't have a device or is entering 9th grade and bought the device or had an issue with the device over the summer, we did do handouts for those yesterday and today, and I believe, if I'm correct, my tech team is just finishing up at the high school now, doing an evening handout for those. Tomorrow, we do the K-8 students. Center School will pick up their Chromebooks along with their meet and greets when they come to pick up materials. First grade is tomorrow, kindergarten is on Friday, and then we have Wisconsin and Huckleberry taking place on Thursday and Friday. Tomorrow, Thursday, we have Wisconsin in the morning, 10 to 12, Huckleberry from 1 to 3, and then we swap the schools on Friday. We do Huckleberry in the morning from 10 to 12, and Wisconsin from 1 to 3. We are having Cohort B pick up their devices on Thursday, and Cohort A pick up their devices on Friday. And we are still able to do this with our shortage. I've spoken to the finance subcommittee. I've also sent communication out to all families regarding the worldwide shortage of Chromebooks, along with our delivery delay. That we are far from the only district currently experiencing. Some of our local school districts have reported that they're back ordered 1,000 devices. Other districts have reported they're back ordered, but haven't given us that number. Some are back ordered, I believe around 500 to 600 was basically the average of everybody who was back ordered. So we do await still the delivery of our 750 Chromebooks that we will supplement and get ready for our students as soon as possible. Dr. Burrell, Mr. Post, Dr. Ruby, we met a few times on nights, evenings, weekends. We looked everywhere and anywhere, high and low, to find some alternative vendors that may have had Chromebooks. And as you can imagine, we weren't the only ones doing that. So it was very hard, and we did have one or two opportunities, and there was a mistake in the inventory system, and the vendor thought they had Chromebooks and didn't. And so I just mentioned this to bring up an example of what us and many others are trying to go through to find Chromebooks. So we are working with what we have, and we are just around 400 Chromebooks to this moment that we will be handing out in the next 2 days. Like I said earlier, we handed about 300, so we're looking at about 100 more. And that still leaves us a window that after Friday, we still have a window to have devices available in the school. It's important to know that one of the things that we did with this is when we did survey parents for their children, we did ask about internet access, which I'll get into. And then we did ask, do you have a device in school or home, or do you not have a device at all? So the question we posed to parents was, are you able to provide a device to your student? This device could include an iPad, an Android tablet, a Chromebook, a Windows device. And we sent out a list of minimum specifications and recommendations for that device. So we have turned our focus to anybody who answered no. We cannot provide a device at all. For those who selected that yes, they can provide a device at in-home only, we decided that that is the most important thing, is that the students have a device for on the remote learning days when they are at home. We will supplement Chromebooks for students as we fix them, as we repair, as we start getting orders in, and as we start to have devices available. We will make them available during the school day. They will not be shared within the same cohort, and they will be cleaned between cohorts just like everything else is going to be, on Wednesday and over the weekends. So we are doing our best to work with what we have, and we'll know a lot more after we finish handouts on Friday and in preparation for our start on Tuesday morning. It is also important to know that the state of Connecticut, you may have heard this, did kind of a grant. It wasn't a financial grant. What it was a grant to provide Chromebooks and internet access to districts that are in need. And every district got to apply. We did a survey back in March. We did a survey back in May. And the state got back to us with an additional survey over the summer. And through this grant, the district will be getting 168 Chromebooks at no charge to us. I've already received the licenses for them. However, the state is in the same issue we are, and we are not expecting to see them until November. October. I'm sorry, I don't want to push that out. Ours are timeline November. I'll get into that in a second. So the state is looking to an October date for delivery directly to the school district. Internet access will happen before that. Go ahead, Debbie.
Finish what you were saying,
Okay.
and then I'll.
Internet access will happen before that. We were able to apply for up to 52 individual internet access support. And the state really pushed and requested that districts apply to have internet broadband installed in families' homes. And what this is we, the district, would get a voucher, for Spectrum in this case, because Brookfield uses Spectrum. We would get a voucher for Spectrum, and we would give that voucher to the family for 1 year of free internet access provided by the state of Connecticut. But I didn't do all of those, so I did ask for a total of 52. I asked for a total of 40 of those, and to supplement where we have needs where maybe getting broadband isn't possible or we need to do something in a pinch, we were also allowed to apply for hotspots provided by a company called Kajit that do run through our wireless network. We in the district use Verizon, so I chose Verizon so that when that year is up, because the state is also going to pay for those for 1 year. And so if the year's up and we need to use them in the district, we still can because we already have a Verizon account. So there is a use for those in the future. Those I should see by the middle of next week. We received confirmation on Monday that they were in process of shipping, and that would be 5 to 7 business days, which would put them in Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. And so we have had some support from the state, but as you hear, they're in the same delays and issues that we are. I got it.
Eric,
So-
that was a lot of information. Thank you.
Yes, I'm sorry. It's.
Thank you,
I
Eric.
want to be brief. I don't want to be too
Nope,
quick,
no, it's
but
good.
there is
No,
a
it was
lot to
great.
talk about this year. I know.
I just want to clarify a couple things. You said, I think, that by Friday you will have loaned out 400 Chromebooks?
Yes,
Is that-
correct.
Okay, so does everybody who?
Oh, I'm sorry, Debbie. That 400. Let me clarify. That 400 is K8.
Okay,
That is separate of our
So
one-to-one
that would-
program. I apologize.
Because one-to-one's already
Yes.
set.
We are keeping the one-to-one program separate because when we do return to 100% in-person learning, and students are back 100%, except for our remote learners, those devices do need to be returned to us, and they don't participate in a program where they bring a district device back and forth. That is a program exclusive to the one-to-one, which is why we have that fee structure in place, and why when we do get the new devices, they do go to the one-to-one program.
okay, so to the best of your knowledge, any family that said they do not have a device at home, those people will all have a device theoretically by the end of this week.
That is correct.
Okay, so there won't be anybody who says, I don't have a device, my child cannot access remote learning.
This is for anybody who has reached out to us, whether it was the survey. I have been going through many emails daily and nightly. I actually have a few in my inbox now. I do have to reply to some parents and put them on our list. When we did this back in March, we really left it open, and anybody and everybody came and collected a Chromebook. And like I said, we documented it all, but we really needed to put a system in place this year. We needed to pre-register the devices, pre-sign them out, have them ready to go, properly labeled for the kids to help us really keep track. So, so it's the families that reach out to us. We added them to a list. I've been in email communication with them. I do have to send an email communication to those that stated in-home only. So there was a little bit of confusion there. But for the handout of the next 2 days, this is for families that have contacted us, requested the devices, and we put them on the list and prepared. My techs have been working diligently to make sure that the Chromebooks are labeled and ready to hand to the families. But it is important that we know ahead of time.
Debbie, the other thing that's important for the public to understand, remember when I went over the enrollment figures, there's still 95 families that we're unsure of right now. And so if they didn't fill out the survey for I'm going to be home, or I'm going to be becoming hybrid, or I'm withdrawing my child, or I've moved away, or whatever, plus new families that aren't even on our radar that may move in next week, that's where we have a supply, I'll say, of devices, but it's not an endless supply. And so there could be some problem areas there, so we want to fully prepare the board for that. And we're doing our best, obviously, and we want to make sure no one goes without a device minimally at home. So that's what we're working on. It's
And
important.
how many students are in the one-to-one between Wisconsin and the high school that got Chromebooks?
I don't have that number today
Or actually
because-
just the high school, right?
Yeah, I can certainly send that, just the high school, I can certainly send that, I don't have that number today because like I said, they're just finishing
Right.
handouts, today that absorbed most of their day. But I can tell you, the number of students that participate in the one-to-one, versus BYOD, has traditionally stuck at 80-20, 80%, 20%, so 80% one-to-one, 20% BYOD. Every year since I've been here, and I do anticipate that percentage to continue. I'd be happy to share that to the board when we do have those final numbers, but I do rely on the great work of Kathy Colavito up there to give me that information.
That's awesome. That's,
So,
I
and the
mean-
library staff up there supports this as well. I don't
Yeah.
want to forget about them.
it's a monumental task, I think, managing all
The
this.
tech
So-
team, the media center folks, everybody was lending a hand. Again, it has been all hands on deck all summer long to totally, you think back to March, to reinvent education from in-person to remote in about 3 days. We adjusted and did that. If we could do that, we could do anything. And what we've done over the last 60 days to prepare 3 different models of teaching and learning, I didn't even have to ask the staff to do it. Everybody just jumped on board and has done it. I could not be more proud. The support of the board and the community, together, we're making this work for the entire community and for our kids, which is the sole reason for the existence of our profession as the student. So I just have to say to all the departments, Eric, your department, Mr. Baldwin will be coming up in just a second. Everybody I've already given a shout out to, incredible. Thank you, Debbie. Just absolutely incredible. Anything else, Eric? We don't want to cut you off.
I just have a question.
No,
Oh, I'm sorry, Joy.
I you know what, before because I just wanted to touch quickly, I did mention on the Power School, conversation about the work of that over the summer, but before we change the topic, I'd like to answer any of those questions, absolutely.
Well, mine was kind of about that. So Joy, access into the portal, does that have anything to do with students accessing remote learning?
So, yeah, that's actually why I wanted to
Okay.
bring that up
Great
tonight
question.
and the work that Denise did over the summer. So I might as well just head into that and then I can
Can I do just a quick one?
Yeah.
I just want to clarify, for people to hear. So if people can have a device at home and can bring it to school, would you encourage them to do that? Will that help
Absolutely.
out the district? Okay.
Absolutely,
Yes.
and that's the
So that, I think
information
that
that our
people should hear that.
that is the information our principals sent for our BYOD program, Bring Your Own Device.
Okay.
We do absolutely encourage that. We understand that, there may be instances where you can't,
Yeah.
but if you can, we do encourage that. We're working on finding opportunities to charge the device during the day. I do want to clear up a quick confusion on that. Our BYOD policy does state that we are unable to kind of care for the device, take care of the device, repair the device. That's so that we don't assume a liability and break any warranties of the device that we don't know about. But I want parents and the public to know that students would not be left high and dry in terms of their learning because they bring their own device. The technology department will ensure that the students are able to connect their device to Wi-Fi. We will help with that, we will support. Teachers, staff, anybody will help the kids get to where they need to go and what they need to do for learning. It's that we just won't fix cracked screens, broken keyboards, we won't replace hard drives for devices that aren't owned by the district.
Okay. And should the kids bring that like on the first day?
Every day.
Okay.
Yep, first day, every day.
Hmm.
This will be a regular part of instruction for this year. And going forward, and with our programs like Lexia and iExcel that we discussed, and ST Math, the technology is going to be important anyway, but given the nature of this year, it's even that much more important.
Okay.
So yeah, every day, a charged device in the morning, and it'll make for a smooth school day. So thank you.
Joy, do you want to ask your question again?
Yeah, so, we had some trouble on Monday with accessing the portal, so I think there's some misconceptions that that's gonna affect remote learning when students are at home accessing, you know, when everyone's trying to access.
Yep, correct. So yeah, I did want to address that. Denise Walsh, our Power School manager, really Power School guru, has been working very hard this summer in helping the schools register students, put the cohort information, the work, what John mentioned in his presentation today with all the numbers of cohorts and remote learners, all that data has been entered into Power School. It was done by the schools, but all of it done with support by Denise and the data technicians that are in the district. Among that, making sure that the schedules are up, the schedules are posted, schedules had to be changed, and all that. But one of her tasks is opening up the portal. We did announce that we were opening up the portal at 4 p.m. That day, and at 3 p.m. Mrs. Walsh logged into the server and noticed that there weren't just hundreds of individuals waiting to see this get released. There was thousands of parents, teachers, students, all refreshing, trying to wait for that form.
And Eric,
it was good.
Let me add on that before it goes any further. On Thursday last week, the problem is everybody was expecting all this information to be ready on Friday. In general, on Friday, we said, and regrettably we said, in our letter home, at 4 p.m. everything will be, after 4 p.m. everything will be ready. So Eric can tell you, people were just refreshing from 2 p.m. getting ready for 2 hours to get teacher assignments and schedules. So go ahead, Eric, please.
So it was so many people that Denise couldn't even get in. Mrs. Walsh couldn't even get in to open the portal. I
We need
wanted
to say one representative per family.
I've got an admission in my own household. I have to tell you about.
Staggered start?
Well, I think
too?
kids are doing it too.
So there was some misconceptions and some information I want to clear up about this. This was not a issue with our network infrastructure. This was not a problem with the server. This was simply the equivalent of trying to fit 20 people through a doorway. The doorway can only handle so much. This would be the equivalent of a website doing a big Cyber Monday deal, and it's a limited offer, and you have to log on at 8 o'clock to get the deal, and everybody logs in and crashes down the server. Now our server didn't crash; it just stopped allowing people to access. So I want to make sure that that's known, is that none of our equipment crashed, none of our equipment couldn't do it. Our server hit a defined threshold and stopped letting people in. And that is by design. I know there was some conversation about why isn't Power School on multiple servers. This is simply not the design of Power School. That's not their recommendation. That's not how it's configured. This doesn't just happen to Brookfield. It happens all over. The difference with this, just so everybody knows, is our solutions for distance learning, which I did want to mention, did also include, and kudos to the tech team and the teachers and administration for different ideas on making presentations work in front of the classroom, right? So being able to project in person and remotely to our students will have a burden on our internet connection and Wi-Fi. That's why we spent that infrastructure on Wi-Fi upgrades. So things like Zoom, Google Classroom, Google Hangouts Meet, ST Math, all of these programs that we're going to be using are cloud-based services. They don't hit any of our servers. They don't hit any of our databases. They just simply rely on a reliable, strong internet connection. And that's where our Wi-Fi comes into play. That's where our connection and our work with the Connecticut Education Network and our internet provider, and that's where that comes in. And that has been upgraded, is regularly maintained, and supported by us and outside vendors that support these solutions for us.
So Eric, to be totally clear, the logjam with Power School, because thousands were trying to get on at the same time, will not occur with our remote learning structure.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Yep, that is correct. And so ways we're looking to mitigate this in the future, and certainly something I can talk about, is simply staggered releases.
Yeah.
We won't do 4 schools in one shot. because some of this can happen around report card time as well. So maybe we will do one school a day, one school every 2 hours, one grade level every hour, so we're talking about different ways to stagger going forward.
Thank you, Eric, that's very helpful.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, and thank you to my team as always. It's certainly, I don't want to sit here, I don't want to accidentally leave anybody out, but of course my team is Kathy Colavito. I want to mention them, Kathy Colavito, Barbara McCarthy, Susan Schmidt, and Steve Clark, who have been working tirelessly along with all of us in making sure that the staff and students are prepared for this. There's a lot more people to thank. We've had a lot of help. Everybody's willing to help and lend a hand with each other. It's been an incredible show of teamwork around here. And so I certainly don't want to dismiss anybody, but I don't want to forget anybody. There's just a lot of people to thank here.
Fantastic. Any other questions for Eric? That's a lot of information.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
It's been an undertaking. This
Yeah.
whole summer. It's
I
been
could
an
go on for
undertaking.
another hour, but I'm kind of tired.
Well, thank you, Eric, for all your hard work and your team. So, I guess we can move on to the athletics update from.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mr. Belanda just reminded me, I can't believe I forgot this. We have a student helper, Logan White.
Yes.
Who's entering his senior year, who's been with us, and he will be with us through the end of the day Friday before he starts school on Friday. Mr. Belanda, thank you. I spent all afternoon I kept saying, gotta mention Logan, and I got here and I didn't, so thank you for texting me. Logan White, thank you as well. You worked just as hard running around the district for us as well. And we will miss him when he starts to be a student, but it is time for him to go back to school. I understand.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Okay, so now we can move on to the athletics update by our athletic director, Steve Baldwin.
I will mention too that Logan is cross-country captain and an officer in our athletic advisory. So, fall sports update. I'm happy to report that our teams are back on the field safely. As Dr. Burrell has communicated to you, we are following the guidelines that have been put in place by the Department of Public Health and the CIAC. As media has reported, there's been several changes, but they're all positive moving forward, which is in the best interest of the kids and their health. All fall sports, cross country, swimming, soccer, field hockey, volleyball, football, dance, and cheer began on August 29th. All fall sports are restricted to low conditioning, non-contact, skill-specific work in cohorts no larger than 10 through September 20th. September 21st was determined to be the date that most of the schools will have been in session for approximately 2 weeks. CIAC believes that a minimum of 2 weeks of COVID data is necessary to determine whether the return to campus instruction will impact extracurricular offerings. Therefore, no full practices will occur until September 21st. That means all teams will stay in cohorts of 10. They won't switch until we get to that date, if the science allows us to move forward. The CIAC will monitor COVID metrics daily and provide updates to all schools each Friday in meetings that I attend. On September 18th, the CIAC will evaluate the COVID metrics and inform schools whether activities can progress to full team to moderate risk practices on September 21st. These games will not start until October 1st, if supported by COVID metrics and, of course, the Department of Public Health and the Brookfield Health Department. What our teams are doing right now, as I discussed with Dr. Ferreira, we have what's called a COVID box. In the COVID box, we have MatGuard, which kills COVID-19. It's safe on skin. It's a product that we've used on our mats for wrestling. They have spray bottles, disinfectant wipes, microfiber towels to wipe everything down, all the equipment, and plenty of hand sanitizer. Our volleyball team will be practicing outside for the first 2 weeks. The Department of Public Health has suggested that all sports be practiced outside as much as possible, even though many other schools are allowing volleyball to be inside. We felt that it was safer for our kids to be outside, so we got outside volleyball nets for them. You know, unfortunately, days like today when it rains, we lose practice. All sports have built-in hand sanitizing timeouts where the kids go and, sanitize their hands and wipe it down equipment a lot during practices, like football. The quarterback throws a pass to the receiver, the football's sprayed down, wiped down, left to dry, and the wide receiver hand sanitizes. Middle school sports, we are looking into an intramural model. Most of the other districts around us in our region, CIAC defined regions of schools that will play, so there's not a lot of travel. Most of the schools have made middle schools an intramural model, so we looked into that skill-based too, and if the science allows us, we have an agreement with Region 15, which is Rochambeau Middle School, and I forgot the other name of the other school, when we would play a couple games with them if it looks like it's safe for the middle school kids. But right now, the middle schools in our region, except for Bethel cross country and field hockey, have went to the intramural model. So tried to sum it up fairly quickly for everybody, and just open it up for questions.
Thank you, Steve. Does anybody have questions for Mr. Baldwin?
So Steve, when is the decision date on actual competitions? Is that, when will they decide when there will be actual competitions, games against other schools? Is that a decision date in the end of September?
It's October 1st right now, and they're still waiting on recommendations for football and volleyball. Football being a high-risk sport, volleyball being a mid-range risk because it's inside.
But Steve, to answer Bob's question specifically, the date that, at least for now, we know October 1st, for now, is the first day of possible competition. But the decision announcement based on COVID metrics, CIAC working with Department of Public Health, will be made on September 18th. Is that correct?
Correct. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yep.
no, I did say that. I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
No, it's okay. I just want to be clear for everybody. Thank you.
Okay, and in your discussions with the CIAC, I'm sorry I'm doing this, guys, how are they dealing with COVID rates that are different in different parts of the regions? I mean, one city that has high rates and another city that has low. Have they given you any indication?
What they did was they grouped us, with schools close to us. Like we play Abbott Tech in Danbury, and obviously Danbury COVID rate has spiked up. Other than that, there really hasn't been any other, there's no other discussion on that from them.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers your question on what you're looking for.
Just keep pushing that as you get through that decision, and because I think that's going to become the issue, is different rates and paces at different towns.
When we talk about that in our Southwest Conference meetings, we say, what happens if this town gets it and we have to travel there? I guess that's going to be up to us if we decide to go there to play those games. And, also is if we're playing Abbott Tech and they get shut down, obviously we're not going to play them.
Yeah, and the one thing I want to be very clear with how Mr. Baldwin just articulated that when he says up to us, that means consultation with Dr. Ferrara and Dr. Sullivan, and obviously recommendations from the Department of Public Health. So we will look at our own COVID rates here in town. We will look obviously at the other COVID rates, the other towns. I think they take it in an aggregate as a region typically, but that's why we have the epidemiologists and the health professionals to advise us on how we go about
Each
that.
school has the authority then to make their own decision.
Each Board of Education has that
Correct.
authority, yep, or
Correct.
each school,
Okay,
yep,
that's good.
yep.
And I do want to say too is, it wasn't in there, but we have a pre-screening process where the kids come in and, the coaches go through a whole list of questions, just like visitors in the building. And, we have had a couple kids go home because they answered yes to a runny nose and, they follow protocol. We let our nurses know and they have to come back with a doctor's note and or a COVID test based on what the nurse tells them.
Good.
Steve, this is Debbie.
Great.
Are there-
Great with that.
Are there any different accommodations being made in terms of transportation if we go to other schools for games? Like, will the buses be the same? Will there be additional buses?
That's a good question. So typically, say field hockey goes to a game, JV and varsity would ride on the same bus, so there'd be approximately 40 kids on the bus. So this year, only varsity games will be played during the week. JV games will be played on the weekend. So now we have 20 kids, one per seat. Some seats we can go every other row. Students will have the ability, as always, well, not as always, it's only coming home, but we will give kids permission if their parents want to take them. So say a student on Tuesday is remote learning, instead of coming in to school, they can have the option of their parent taking them to the game, provided they fill out the parent release form, transportation form. So I don't see an issue with the buses. That was a concern of mine, and I know I talked to Ken and Dr. Brill about that. Before we decided to make a lot of changes and the schedule got a little bit smaller, I was very concerned of our transportation budget because I was worried we're going to have to take, up to 2 or 3 buses to games. But this alleviated it as we worked in our conference because that was a concern of us. So we made the schedules out that way. Now we know the buses aren't overcrowded. And then say football, normally we would take 2 buses to a game. This year we'll take 3, but it won't hurt our transportation line because typically the football players take 2 buses, the cheerleaders take 1 bus. Cheerleaders are only allowed per SWC rules at home games, so we still take 3 buses instead of 2. Now we can spread those kids out more, plus the option of the parent transportation as well.
Great. Also, I was wondering about, I know you sent a letter about spectators at games. Has there been any new developments with that? Or like any new creative ways that parents can watch games from?
We have in the gym, if there's volleyball, and on the front turf, we have the live streaming. I wanted to put live streaming on the back turf, but it proved to be too costly just because of how far we had to wire the electrical work. The camera itself wasn't that bad, but the electrical work was pretty costly. The SWC has said that they do not want fans at games. I have asked to look into allowing 2 parents. I believe the FCAC was doing that. I don't know if the league will budge on that, but as we get closer to October 1st, I'm going to look into it. I would like to see, parents drive their kids to games, for their whole lives. Now they're seniors and they can't watch them play. I'm hoping that changed. I know Principal Bland turned his camera on. I know maybe he wants to say something here too.
Yeah, so it's a challenge, right? So the principals, SWC principals meet as a league. Athletic directors meet much more frequently, but big things like that in terms of spectators and what we're planning on doing. There's a lot of concern in terms of how to turn people away, keeping everybody safe, opening the floodgates, and certainly everybody wants parents to be able to watch their child play. We're just talking about different ways to make sure everybody's safe You know, we've talked about, you know, if you let two parents in, which is one of the proposals that's a possibility out there, and at least one other league, you know, we really need to make sure we're keeping everyone else out. You know, so it's a solution, but there's also additional costs. So we just have to be aware of that as we move forward and try to make a decision. But the principals will meet, the SWC principals will meet again. You know, I forget when our next meeting is. I'm also on the athletic board for the SWC principals, so I'll be able to, athletic executive board, so I'll be a major part of those decisions moving forward. So stay tuned.
Thank you.
And like Mark said, the additional cost, and I've talked to Ken about this, a concern of mine is, you know, a lot of that, the game workers, and probably half comes from gate. And if we're not, you know, not having football games takes a big chunk of that money away.
I'm sorry,
Oh, yeah,
Amy,
I just
just,
wanted to ask, the
please.
co-warding with the groups of 10, is that just going till September 21st, as long as metrics allow, and then it will be full team practices?
Jack, can you repeat that? I couldn't really hear it.
Amy, can you say that again?
Yep, the co-warding in the groups of 10, is that just a preseason up until September 21st, and then the whole team will be practicing?
Yes.
Okay.
Steve, Mike here. You said that there's a screening process. Is that before every practice, or is that just before the season? And is that
No, that's before every practice. Right now, every kid who comes in is asked a series of questions. The football team actually has the parents fill it out. Everybody else, the coaches ask them, we record them just to make sure that we could track everything. When school starts, remote learners will still have to go through the screening process. Kids that are in school will not.
so currently it's a survey? Is there temperature checks as well?
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Is there temperature checks as well, or is it just a survey?
There's no temperature check. Right, Steve? No
There's
temperature
no-
check?
The coach goes through a series of questions with the kids. Football sends the same series of questions home on a paper. The parents fill it out, sign it, and hand it to the coaches when they wanted to take an extra layer of that.
There's no temperature check when kids get
Oh,
there.
I'm
though.
sorry, I couldn't hear that.
That's okay. There's no temperature check when kids get there. There's a question about have you had a fever over 100 degrees. So it's a question, but there is no temperature check when kids arrive.
And we,
If
just
we
so
weren't
everybody knows.
required to do that, otherwise we would.
Yep, and we're not required, and there literally just was another update from the State Department that came in this afternoon. I was looking through the email, and they're not recommending that you do the temperature check. So they explicitly said it's not recommended. So just so everybody knows that, because I know there's confusion out there, and at the beginning of the summer it was everybody's going to have a temperature check. So the theory on that has changed.
Are we still asking parents, though? Is that something we want them to do at home, is check the temperature
Yep.
of their kids before they send them to school?
And staff too.
Yeah.
So
that
as
should be
adults,
a
you do
daily practice.
adults and teenagers certainly could do a self wellness check, but the little ones, we want the parents to do a wellness check before school. Yep.
Brush your teeth, check your temperature.
And will it be done still randomly throughout the day for
Yes.
students? Okay.
And staff.
And stuff.
The nurses will go around with their
Yep.
thermometers.
Okay. Any more questions for Steve?
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, up next, we'll move on to old business and the new school building project. There isn't too much of an update from the last time I updated you guys. They were in the process of going through all of the local approvals, so most of that's moving along or has closed. The most recent one was the wetlands public hearing. That has since closed, so they are moving along with that. And the next couple of dates to keep in mind, and this is important for the board, Tuesday the 15th, the MBC is going to have a meeting, and they are going to have Tecton present the new renderings for the project, and they would like to invite us there so that we can, kind of how we did all of the other ones, We'll go there, we'll be able to ask questions, they'll be able to show us some of those photorealistic renderings that we had requested, and you'll get to see the new exterior facade that has been recently worked on, so.
And Rosa, that's September 15th,
September, yep,
2 weeks.
Tuesday, September 15th at 7 p.m. And that's a
Will
good
that be virtual?
date. Yeah, I think it's gonna be virtual.
Okay.
And that's a good date for the public to keep in mind too, if they want a peek at what the building is really coming along to look like. Our actual approvals as a board won't be needed until November, and that'll be for the construction documents, so that they can go out to bid in December. That's still their goal. So that's pretty much it. Any questions? Okay. So we're on to 3 main points.
Okay, I was thinking I would cover a lot of the things that Dr. Burrill covered in his superintendent update, the COVID page on the website, the calendar updates, and all the PPE and materials signage that has been received and is being distributed to the schools. So that would be number 1. Tech update, I
Yeah.
think, is huge. And then I was gonna do the athletic update.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I had too, yeah.
Perfect.
All big
Maybe
reopening
we
things.
can explicitly put like the dates, like for Chromebook pickup, because I know a lot of
Well,
parents.
those are good tomorrow though.
Yeah,
I'll
well,
say
that's
that.
true,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
by
not
the
gonna get it out in time, but, yeah.
And by the way, Eric, I did my Chromebook pickup today, and I just want to tell you, it was totally seamless, easy. Just pull up to the curb, they put the Chromebooks in my car, and it was 20 seconds. So again, thank you.
Fantastic.
We'll be following that procedure for Wiskaneer and Huckleberry tomorrow and Friday. Center School, like I said, is going to pick them up when they actually come in to pick up materials and stuff like that. But thank you for that feedback. I will share that with the group.
Okay. All right, so upcoming events.
Okay, so going in those lines. The first day of school is Tuesday, September 8th. For those on the hybrid schedule, it's an in-person day for those in cohort A and a remote day for those in cohort B. At Center Elementary School, tomorrow is Thursday, September 3rd. It's the first grade drive-through. Meet your teacher, pick up supplies, and Chromebooks if you're getting one. Each class has a scheduled time that's been communicated. Tomorrow also is a kindergarten Zoom at 2 p.m. Links are forthcoming on that. Friday the 4th is kindergarten orientations and supply and device pickup. Individual times have been communicated for that. And also Friday, September 4th is the first grade Zoom with their teachers at 2 p.m. Links will be sent through email for that. Wednesday, September 9th is orientations for pre-K at Center. At Huckleberry is the device pickup. Tomorrow is cohort B from 1 to 3 p.m. and Friday is cohort A from 10 to 12 a.m. Also Friday, September 4th is the remote learner pickup between 11 and 1. And a virtual open house for all classes will be Friday, September 4th. Times will be communicated for that. At Wiskaneer, we have the device pickup. Tomorrow, Chromebook pickup Thursday, the 3rd, cohort B from 10 to 12 a.m. and cohort A on Friday, September 4th from 1 to 3 p.m. And open houses will be Tuesday, September 22nd. And then at the high school, fall sports have started practicing. Anyone interested should visit brookfieldathletics.com for more information or to contact coaches. That's it.
And then I had one last thing that I failed to specifically mention as I closed the loop on my superintendent report and reopening, that as part of getting staffing ready and all the hiring and everything, we did 3 days of onboarding of our new teachers. We're really excited about our new teachers and new staff that are joining us, and principals will be introducing them at Friday's convocation. So again, thanking the team for all their hard work on that and welcoming our new teachers, which on September 16th, the principals will introduce them, as tradition has it here in Brookfield, to the board.
How nice. I just,
And I know, and I say, sorry, before we go on from Amy's thing, I did forget, cohort remote learners. I
Anytime.
mentioned A and B, any of those times. I'm not sure if you said that or not, I'm sorry, but I did leave that out before.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure, thank you.
I also just want to mention, because I mentioned it in our previous meeting, that anybody that would like the back to school button made with their child's face on it, the Brookfield Library is doing that again as our last chance. tomorrow from 2 to 7 on the Brookfield Library lawn. So you can come with a picture and they'll make a button, or if you don't have a photo, we'll take a picture of you and make it, and you can pick it up the next day. And that's just so that friends, teachers can see what you look like without a mask. So that's open to students, staff, teachers, anybody.
Great.
That's great, Deb.
Anything else? All right. So thank you guys, especially my fellow board members, for coming in at our first hybrid meeting back. So unless there's anything else, I would guess without objection, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Can I ask you a quick question, Deb?
Is that a sticker on
Yeah.
it?
I love the art on top. That's great.
I know your husband was Mike.
Well,
Does he still do VNI?
I like that.
no, there's another Mike Brooks
Oh,
in town.
that's the Mike Brooks, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like my name, Mike Brooks.
I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, because like in environmental where I work, we got a thing.
Yeah, he's
for
like, that was
like
he's like a
specific
Line?
technology.
I've heard that.
technology guy. And he's like in this DNI, which is like,
Yeah.
I used to belong to.
So what